bottom left, a player and coach for the team OGS, a great Zerg player, got a little caught off guard by TAiLS' style last game. He is known as
OGS TheWind.
And there's OGS TheWind.
The wind.
Wind.
Not the breeze, but the wind.
And in the top middle, we have TAiLS. The yellow. Oh, whoops.
Oh, you said his name. You messed up, Cukesy.
MVP, TAiLS.
I love how they did the sound effect and everything.
That was perfect. And there is TAiLS.
All right, so
I'll work on that next time.
Sorry, it was your first intro, man. I can't
No,
blame
I did
you.
the intro in the
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah, man. You don't even remember. Are you even here with me?
I'm with you, man. I'm sorry. All right, so it is going to be a Forge Fast expand for TAiLS, and it looks like TheWind looks like he's going to be going for a 15 hatch. Hasn't made a gas or a pool just yet, and there goes the drone. So we will be seeing a 15 hatch from him.
And this, one of the things about this map, it is a very good map to fast expand on. It's so easy to take your third. It's very easy for the Protoss to put some cannons up at the natural and basically double expand behind it. Because of that, you can kind of defend one choke and take the third. At the same time, you're like, well, if everyone expands in this map, like, why don't you use 6 pool or something? It's a big map. It's 4-player map. It's hard to scout your opponent. It's hard to know where that kind of stuff should go, like where the lings need to be going. So it's not the best map to do early aggression like that. Also, there aren't a lot of good places to proxy things. The middle of the map, you can basically see everything with the watchtowers. A player who's diligently scouting will check all the watchtowers. They'll see like if Protoss two-gate proxies or Terran proxies in the middle, that kind of thing. And here we do see the Nexus going down from TAiLS.
Yeah, I like this. I like what TAiLS has done here. He's actually taken this opening and done it so safely. Just like you were saying, sometimes 6 pools can happen. These weird things can kind of occur. But if you play safely like TAiLS does, it really just shuts down the option of that being a big deal. I mean, right now, he's made the Nexus. He made the Forge first, then he made a cannon, and then he made the Nexus, just to be absolutely sure that everything would be fine. And again, like you were saying, you could take that relatively easy third base, so he's just setting himself up here for success. He's up a game. You never know what's going to happen. The second game is always the game where things get really weird. Sometimes you get all in, sometimes there's some sort of weird cheese. So to play it completely safe when you're up a game, I think is a good choice.
Indeed. Here we see TAiLS is walling off the entrance-ish to his natural, making anything that comes, well, basically lings have to run all the way around if they want to get up the ramp, making it very hard to do any kind of run-bys here.
Exactly. Pylon finishing up here, as well as that. He's going to make a Cybernetics core there to finish that wall, so that cannon can't be attacked either. Basically, if any ling wants to get over there, like you said, he's going to have to run all the way around. The cannon is so hard to attack. It's blocked on 3 sides of the Nexus, the Pylon, even the Cybernetics core kind of blocking it off. So even if lings get around to that cannon, they can't attack. And the Wind smartly takes the third base in reply to seeing what's going on here.
What is the Wind actually scouted?
He hasn't even seen it, man.
He is just playing his game. And can we take a look at what TAiLS is seeing, actually? Neither player, up until this point, the Wind has just seen TAiLS' Nexus. He knows basically what's going on. TAiLS has no idea. He has not scouted yet. And that can be a dangerous thing. If you know the timings well enough, you kind of know, like, is that another cannon that he's getting?
Yeah, he's getting a second cannon. Actually, a third cannon.
So TAiLS knows if I get cannons at these timings, I'm safe to basically everything. So I don't need to scout, and I get a little bit more money. For a less experienced player, this can look really scary because you don't quite know what can happen.
Exactly, and if you're a pro player, you see the Overlord coming in from that left side kind of there, you know your opponent came from the bottom spawn. Otherwise, the Overlord would have been there sooner, or it would have come from a different direction. So he knows where his opponent's spawn is. He just doesn't really know what's going on, so he made those 3 cannons. A part of that, though, is if you make those 3 cannons, if you don't have to, it puts you a little bit behind. So, and that's kind of what's occurred here. Now, of course, the Wind hasn't seen that Stargate. So he doesn't really know what's going on either. Of course, this is going to be a Void Ray first. He's probably going to follow up with Phoenixes, try to shut down any possible third base.
And this actually seems like a rather strange decision by TAiLS. The reason for that is part of what makes the Void Ray Phoenix opening so strong in denying the third is because it's usually so far away that it's not connected by creep. It's very hard for the Queens to get there. Metalopolis is a great example. Tal'Darim is okay. The distance between the natural and the third is far enough that usually there isn't creep, there isn't the ability to get the Void Rays and the Phoenixes there to really do the damage that you want. But on this map, the natural and the third are almost connected by creep without any tumors.
Exactly. So, I mean, they are connected. Their creep is just now touching.
Yeah.
And they haven't used any tumors. And, of course, this timing also, he got the Stargate up so late and the wind went so fast, the hatchery, he just doesn't know that. But the hatchery's been up for a long time. He can make queens out of it. Right now, he's already got 3 queens out. Not making any additional queens,
Getting
but...
Overlord speed.
Yeah, that's quite unusual, getting that Overlord speed. And, uh-oh, 5 gates in production, plus a Twilight Council. I think we're going to see a 2-base timing attack.
So maybe the Stargate is probably to make up for the fact that he hasn't been scouting up until this point. 2 Phoenixes and a Void Ray allow him to pick off Queens, Phoenixes, or not Phoenixes, Overlords, and maybe do some drone damage. And meanwhile, this is kind of what we were talking about before. No matter what you see your opponent do, he could really be doing anything.
Exactly, and in fact, he is doing...
And there we see a lot of gateways going up, 7 gateways. This is going to be a huge and scary timing attack.
He's getting charged, QXC. I like this. He's actually forced his opponent to go Hydras. Now he's going to get charged, and if you have enough Zealots and charge, they can really close the distance on those Hydras very quickly. If he doesn't have any Roaches, Zealots do pretty well against Hydras, and it is going to be a Hydra drop, so he's researching drops. He already got that Overlord speed, so this could turn out very interestingly.
And here's the Overlord. If this Overlord sees the gateways, this is going to be huge. Here we go. Is it going to seize the... Oh, this is huge. The wind knows everything. He should be able to prepare for this. He sees all the gateways. The Stargate is not building anything. He even sees the Twilight Council.
It's a huge blunder, I think, by TAiLS not stopping the Overlord from coming in. Now, the wind is 20 supply up right now. He's just been droning really hard. He's got that heavy 3-base economy, and the lack of scouting from TAiLS is really it's coming back to bite him here. 9 Roaches in production, Roach speed being researched. He's going to have enough Roaches out, I think, to hold this. This is going to be a very Zealot-heavy composition. Right now, in fact, I'll give you guys some numbers. 9 Roaches out and 7 Hydras just from the start. And he's not producing any more Roaches at this very moment. All of his larvae is about to pop, and when that happens, he's probably going to make about 10 more Roaches, and I think he should be able to hold this no problem.
Yeah.
Actually, he's making 11 Hydras.
Oh, look at his supply. He went from having over 1,000 resources and 102 supply up to 122 supply and no resources. The wind is gearing up for this, and I don't think this attack is coming fast enough from TAiLS.
I don't think so.
I really would have liked to have seen the pylon already on the map, but that is a lot of units.
That is a lot, and he is going to have +1. It's going to finish right now when he gets here, but there's so many units.
And here the Hydralisk going to work. The Phoenix is picking up some Void Rays doing damage, and the Zealots doing damage, but the wind looks like he's going to come. The wind just crushes through that army. The Void Ray going to go down. The wind looking very good right now.
Yeah, I mean, he crushed that army. He knew it was coming, and even so, it just came so late. I don't understand really what TAiLS' plan was here. I've never seen that charge Zealot timing attack before. Didn't work at all. Now he's got less than half the supply of the wind, 131 to 64, and the wind is most likely from here going to do some Hydra drops, and his opponent's never really going to be he's never going to feel safe to take a 3rd base, never going to feel safe to move out ever again. He's attacking here again at the natural. The Hydras are relatively exposed here, but there are just so many units. Losing Zealots here, it's looking really bad.
A little sloppy by TAiLS there, losing 4 Zealots. The pylon going to go down, and it looks like TAiLS' plan there was to apply a little bit of pressure and possibly bait the Zerg into getting kind of a good storm off to try and make up for the discrepancy. Hydralisk, not very fast off creep, not a lot of health. 1 or 2 good storms could help equalize, but that plan didn't really go through. Storm is not done. Does not have enough Zealots, and here we see Zergling's speed finishing.
I think from here he may decide to go for Zealot Archon type of combo, because that's pretty good. Of course, throw down some storms and start making the Archons. The problem is he just doesn't have enough money right now to really do that. The Wind's got this huge army moving towards him. He can't necessarily hold this 3rd base. Even some drops coming through. And those drops, they don't have Hydras in them. They have Banelings.
They have Banelings. We are going to see some Baneling bombs, Baneling nukes.
Baneling nukes?
Baneling homing missiles.
They're going to land on top of those very expensive High Templar or on the Zealots. Either way, they're going to do a ton of damage to QXC.
And can we actually go, how many of those Templar have energy to storm?
About 4 of them have enough for 1 storm
Hold on,
each.
and we see the wind breaking the rocks at the 3rd, going what he's trying to do is pull the army out of position. This is a really good spot. See the Overlords? The Overlords going in, dropping the Banelings. Oh, yes! That was fantastic. A great storm by TAiLS, holding off a little bit of this attack. But the Zealots, where did the Zealots go?
They just blew up the Banelings.
Where did the Zealots go? They're all gone. Here we see the Overlords spewing out a little bit of creep.
GG.
And there is the GG. OGS win takes that game quite convincingly.
That was quite convincing indeed. An interesting build order from TAiLS, but it was scouted for one. The timing, I think, was a little off. And the Wind just crushed through that attack like it was nothing. Then he just drank some of his drink and just moved on, and
TAiLS has not the expression I would expect after that game. I think he's kind of he knew what he was doing was a little bit risky, and it didn't quite work out, and he seems to be okay with that. He's probably got a good plan going into the third game.
Yeah, I think the Wind is actually going to step out of his booth. The funny thing is the Wind actually normally goes into players' booths, whether the OGS player wins or loses. He just goes into the booth with them and coaches them, and now he's like, well, I won that game. He's like looking around, he's like, no one's behind me. What does it mean? There he is now. He's just walking past us.
Yep, going to probably go to the bathroom, just cool himself down, get ready for the third game.
Yeah, so that was very interesting how that kind of played out. The gateways got scouted, and even so, I think that he would have had enough units, but when the gateways were scouted, he just pulled his larva, he waited for all those injects to finish, the larva all popped, and then he made like 15 Hydras, and that's just it. You have enough roaches to buffer at the front, the Hydras sit at the back, the Hydras do the real damage, the roaches do a little bit of damage to the Zerlings, but they tank a lot, and then the Hydras just clean everything up. And that attack just looked really silly. He just made it look silly.
I mean, that happens though. When you do a risky thing like that, what I really would have liked to have seen from TAiLS, like to me, that build, it seems awesome. It seems really cool because you open Stargate, you get 2 Phoenixes, you get a Void Ray. So what's Zerg going to do? They're going to pull their Overlords back, and I think that's actually the reason we saw that first Void Ray kill the Overlord in the back of his base instead of trying to do damage. Is he knew the crux of his strategy was going to be to deny scouting, not to really do damage. The Void Ray and the Phoenixes, they weren't supposed to do damage. They were supposed to kill Overlords on the map. And because the Wind decided to get Overlord speed, he was actually able to scout the follow-up. If he didn't have Overlord speed, that wouldn't have worked.
Exactly. So not only that, but if things went differently, he could have used that Overlord speed and couple with his drops and just dropped into dead Hydra drops from there as well. So his response was actually safe to both some sort of Stargate heavy play, but also some sort of weird Charge Zealot type of build because he was able to scout everything that was going on despite the fact that his opponent, like you said, was cleaning up those Overlords. It was kind of interesting to me that he went for that type of strategy, but of course the Stargate kind of forces a different response. Roaches destroy Charge Zealots because they have armor, the Zealots just don't do enough damage, and he kind of forced the Hydras, and instead of going into Colossi afterwards like you see most Protoss doing, he just went into a Charge Zealot timing attack.
Yep.
I think he could have had +2 attack by then if he had just timed it a little bit better as well. He only got +1 right when he hit, but if he had timed it and had been chronoing his forwards the entire time, I think it would have easily had +2 by the time he attacked.
What would have been really cool with that strategy that TAiLS did is if he had spread. I'm not sure. I think he needed to go into the main of the Wind. He needed to scout with the Phoenixes. He needed to do a little bit of damage to get the Wind, thinking that he's doing the Stargate play. Because if he sees the Void Ray and the Void Ray never comes to his base, he's like, what's going on? Like maybe he's not doing Stargate. But after that, I really would have liked to have seen hold all 4 Watchtowers and have those Phoenixes and Void Rays patrolling his base, scouting for those Overlords. Because if that Overlord doesn't get into his main, I think TAiLS wins.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It was just like so sloppy to let the Overlord in. If the Overlord gets in, it's over.
Yeah.
So it's like in PvP, if someone sees your Dark Shrine, it's like that bad, and it's like, I guess I just.
Oh man, somebody scouts any matchup. Someone scouts your Dark Shrine. If the Dark Shrine gets scouted when it's anytime. I'm going to say just anytime before the DTs actually do damage, you basically lose.
Yeah, it's a huge investment.
Yeah. It's definitely a big deal. And here we see Optic Zero standing behind us. I don't know what he was...
He put something on the sign that said, scan the island. So, that's pretty clever. I don't know if you guys were able to read that on stream. But our game's loading up here.
I didn't even see the Wind walk back to his booth. I guess
he flew.
He vanished.
He came in like the Wind. You don't see it, but it's really there.
Yep. And here we have... The game has started. We're on Metalopolis. And this is the yellow Protoss. spawning in the 3 o'clock position. He is known as...
It's not on the screen yet, QXC.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're a silly person.